Burnout is not one big stress that breaks you. This is known as trauma. Burnout is a bunch of stresses that are piling up. Okay, all of them are tiny. You can handle each of them. You can handle 20 of them at any point in time. I don't mind the crazy commute. I don't mind the loud alarm in the morning. I don't mind working another half an hour. I don't mind this. I don't mind that. None of them will break you on its own, but you add them all up and you break down.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers. Today's video, as always, was sponsored by Huel. I'm drinking Huel Black Edition, which has 26 vitamins and minerals, 35 grams of protein and slow release carbs to make sure that I can stay satiated and proteined up whilst I make these documentaries. If you want to find out more about these, go to the link in the description. I'll talk about them a little bit later on in the video. Around 4 months ago, I did this run for charity. It was 480 miles. It was really,
God.
It was a big physical run. I had a stone. So for the first 30 miles, I had a 100 kilo stone on my back. And then the 450 miles of the next 10 days, I had a 30 kilo stone on my back. So we're running through the Scottish Highlands.
I have a stone on my front, but
but for that, I'd been training for 6 months. So there was all this physical stress I was going through for 6 months. Then I did the event 4 months ago. The moment I got back 4 months ago, I've never experienced burnout, and I work I have these 12, 14-hour days. I've been one of those types of people who've really hustled and, grind and all that kind of stuff. The moment I got back, I have had this tiredness that I could just not shake. And it could be, I'll walk into my office and I run the business, and people come at me with all these stressors, and then all of a sudden this tiredness hits over my face. I'll go into the gym, I'll lift the weights for the first time, this tiredness hits over me. And I wanted to ask you about burnout and if the body deciphers stress from emotional stress, physical stress, mental stress. And I know this is a subject that you've explored a lot recently. So I'd love to just.
It's quite interesting that you say that. So Unstressable, believe it or not. So my last book with Alice Law, we wrote it together. Is such a joy for me to have written, because it's a very unusual book for what I normally work on. And the difference is between Alice and I, if you want, we're the yin and yang of the topic. We both struggled with a very, very stressful life, but we approached it in a very different way. Okay. And I'll admit openly, my number one strength is mental stress. So I can easily work through thoughts and stories that my brain tells me. Alice is fantastic at physical, emotional, and spiritual stress. And so it's quite interesting when you really think about what you've done to your body. Physical stress is your body's stress language, if you want. It basically wants to tell you something that you've done here is not good for me. Okay? Now, why is it not good for me? Because the reason why we have cortisol to start, stress hormone, is a scenario that's very unlike the modern world. Okay, in the ancient worlds, a tiger would show up, your amygdala would detect it before your prefrontal cortex recognizes it. You'd get a hormone cocktail in your body that eventually releases cortisol and adrenaline sometimes, right? And that basically puts you in a state of it reconfigures your body in a way that's superhuman. Okay, so it gives you the ability to do things that you could never imagine doing. Whether there are recorded cases of mothers being able to lift a car off from to get their children's saved or whatever, all the way to being able to create a presentation that is going to change your career or whatever. Problem is, in the original configuration of cortisol and stress, think of the movie The Hulk, right? You're supposed to get that cortisol hit long enough to get you out of danger, and then it phases away. You can see that in nature very, very, very clearly. That there was a wonderful book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, right? You can see animals, a deer out in the wild would see the tiger, would pop out of its place, run like mad, and if it escapes the tiger, Literally 6 seconds later, it stops, it shakes its body, continues to eat grass as if nothing happened. That's not what we do. So in the modern world, and especially with 480 freaking kilometers, okay?
Miles. Yeah.
Miles. You're basically telling your body, we're going to need that cortisol for a very long time, okay? And of course, cortisol can save you, but it also destroys your, it increases your levels of inflammation in the body. It basically increases your exhaustion level. It reconfigures you, okay? And extended stress, basically, I don't think what you're suffering from is burnout.
Okay.
I think what you're suffering from is a very is a prolonged physical stress. Okay. I had one of those. So the way Alice and I wrote Unstressable is quite interesting, because we would sit down and discuss structures, and then each of us would go and write, and then we would edit each other's work. And so when I read her work, she wrote the physical stress chapter. When I read her work, I called her. I said, Alice, are you making fun of me? Like, this entire chapter is about me. Okay? I have every symptom, every habit, every pain, every ache. Okay? Every one of them is in me. And she said, yeah, I've been telling you for a while. So I said, what should I do? And she said, start with inflammation. And so I did actually something amazing. I was about to start my silent retreat in 2022. And I normally disappear for 40 days in silence, which is really, really, it really takes your stress away. But I also ordered an anti-inflammatory meal plan. And so for 40 days, I basically ate an anti-inflammatory food. Very, very little amounts, very healthy. And I had never felt better. Aches, pains, muscles, joints, digestive system, gone. Okay? And I really think the question with physical stress is, are we listening to it? Okay? And basically residual stress needs to be treated by the opposite behavior of what caused it. So you really need to find a way for you to unrun 480 miles.
You guys know how much I love Huel. This is the best introduction into Huel, in my opinion. It's their protein bundle, which makes a great Christmas gift. Huel have just sent me one of these, and I want to show you exactly what's in it. 8 bottles of the ready to drink in every single flavor. This is my absolute favorite. You get one of their standard shakers, Huel protein, and Huel Black Edition, my absolute favorite. 40 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and slow release carbs to give everything that you need to get on with your day. Huel are doing exclusive offers right now. So if you check out the top pinned comment and use the link in the description, you can get exclusive offers from discounts to free t-shirts, free shakers. And if you use their subscription service, you get 10% off every single order. So go to the link down below. Thank you, Huel, for supporting this video.
Now, the thing I want to say, and I'm not a doctor here, is why do we do that shit? And I say that with tons of respect for you. But I never understood it. First of all, why 480? Okay? Second of all, why a stone? Right? And third, and I really never understood that about Western cultures. If someone wants to donate to charity, why do they need you to run? Okay? And if you want to run, why do you want to tell people to donate to charity? And if you want to tell people to donate to charity, why do you have to run? I never understood any of that. Okay? I mean, in reality, if it was a worthy charity, you should just pick up the phone, call all your friends and say, guys, this is truly a worthy cause. We should all contribute to it. We're contributing for the cause, not because of my physical fitness. Okay? And then you go and say, and hey, by the way, I'm going to be running, cheer me up. Right? And that's it. The truth is, we do things in the modern world, I have to say, are ridiculous. I love that you can do this. And I feel a bit of envy that I can't. Okay? But I never got it. I never get why we stress ourselves with synthetic stress. Okay? So one of my favorite bosses in my entire life was my first boss at Google, who was a very shrewd business person. Okay? And every January, by the end of January, because we're still coming from holidays, everyone is running a little, speeding up and so on, he would apply so much stress on the business, okay, that everyone would be about to burn out or break down. And I walked into his office the second year and I said, look, I have enough business stress in my region. I don't need any of your synthetic stress. Don't apply artificial stress on me just to speed me up. Okay? And we had this crazy argument, not fight, but argument, where he said, I'm pushing you for your own good. And I said, when I miss my target, fire me, right? Just don't stress me on my path to my target. And somehow he loved that argument. So a week later, we were in a very big conference and he, someone said, why is Region 4 not doing what we're doing here in Region 1? And he said, well, I have no idea how Mo achieves his targets, but the day he misses them, I'm going to fire him. Right? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'd rather do things the way that makes me feel fulfilled and enriched than, play to my strengths. And if I fail, fire me. That's a much better experience than stressing the hell out of me, making me miss my targets because I'm stressed, and then firing me anyway. Right? And it is really an interesting question. Why do we stress ourselves synthetically? Okay. Now, you spoke about burnout. And burnout is almost the opposite side of the concept. It's the same result. We stress ourselves because we don't realize that it matters. So there are two very big issues in the modern world. One of them is we wear stress as a badge of honor. Okay? We tell the world I'm busy because I'm busy means I'm important. It means you should date me because I'm busy. Look at me, I'm busy. I'm someone. Okay? When in reality, I think the most successful people are not busy at all. I used to work 4 hours a day when I was at Google. Okay, and on days where I worked more than 4 hours, I was really critical. Maybe I was doing something wrong because I had teams that were doing a lot of things. I'm not supposed to be the one, completely submerged in work all the time, right? As a writer today, if I worked 12 hours a day, okay, something's wrong. As a writer today, as we were saying before we started recording, the best thing I can do is do nothing. Because if I do nothing for half an hour, I get inspired to write about something, right? So somehow we push ourselves to burnout because we think that this makes us more successful or more worthy. The second is because the trick around burnout is that none of the things that are burning you out on their own are capable of breaking you. Okay, burnout is not one big stress that breaks you. This is known as trauma. Burnout is a bunch of stresses, okay, tens, hundreds of them that are piling up. Okay, all of them are tiny. You can handle each of them. You can handle 20 of them at any point in time. None of them are going to break you. So you say, fine. I don't mind the crazy commute. I don't mind the loud alarm in the morning. I don't mind working another half an hour. I don't mind this. I don't mind that. None of them will break you on its own. But you add them all up, and then your partner shows up and says, "Hey, baby," and you go like, "Don't hey me. Like, really, I cannot take anymore," and you break down. Right? So when you're looking at burnout, the answer to burnout is actually quite interesting. It's not to remove the stressors that are important. If you have an important project, absolutely work on it, right? It's to remove the unnecessary, unwarranted pressures. Okay? It's to sit with yourself next Saturday and say, I'm going to write down every single thing that stressed me last week. That comment I saw on YouTube, that, email I got from my boss, that commute that was very rushed, that. Write every single one of them. And then take a red pen and scratch out the ones that you'll never are going to let happen again. Okay? From the simplest one, if your alarm clock in the morning is very loud, find another soothing sound to it. Okay? And yes, it's not going to break you, but it's just a very bad introduction to the day. Even better, if you can, after you set a nice soothing alarm, sleep early, so that by the time it's about, I don't actually remember the last time I woke up to an alarm. I honestly don't. I had an appointment, and a visa appointment today in the morning. I needed to wake up at 6:30, right? Yeah, I set an alarm, but the alarm doesn't go off. Why? Because I sleep enough before it, and then when it's about time for the alarm to go off, I'm awake already, right? So you can do those things. You can tell yourself, if swiping on Instagram seems to be enriching you, but it's killing you every time and it's stressing you, scratch it out with a red pen and visibly look at it and say, I'm not going to add this to my life next week. And you'll very quickly realize there you could remove 20, 30 stressors of your life every single week. That annoying friend that only tells you negative things, that, social media person that you're following that's creating misery into your life, whatever. And once you do that, burnout, the big projects will remain there. They will remain stressing you, but the little ones will go away and you'll have a lot more spare capacity to deal with.
The new year is approaching, and as always, Mulligan Brothers is doing its 2025 sale. So if you put the code in on the website, you can get buy one, get one free across the whole range, including the Not a Journal and the Memento Mori poster, an interactive poster that you fill in every single week, and it shows you how much life you've lived and potentially how much you've got left. Then somewhere along there is a square that will be my last square. It might have even been the square that I filled in last week, and I promise you, that fills you with the most motivation to make your life mean something and live with purpose. And the Not a Journal is a journal for just getting stuff done. I know so many of you have loved it, and that's why we've included it in the buy one, get one free with the link below. While stocks last. Once all the journals are gone, that is it, guys. As always, each year we do sell out, so make sure you get your orders in very quick. By purchasing something from the website, you're helping support us going into 2025 to be able to make even more incredible documentaries.